Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. This is IMAX Sports with another football video, and today I'm talking about the highest percentage chances of each AFC team to make the playoffs this season. So basically, last year I did this series a couple different times with the AFC and the NFC, where I went through each team's chances of making the playoffs based off of what I thought their projected record was, and what I thought that their absolute floor and absolute ceiling were for the rest of the season. I did that again today. I ranked all the teams based off of what I thought their projected records are, what I think their floor is, and what I think their ceiling is record-wise. So I was going to go through each of the teams today and let you know. And yeah. So the 2021 AFC Picture. The Titans were the 1 seed. Chiefs were the 2 seed. They were both 12-5. The 3 and 4 seed were the Bills and the Bengals at 11-6. The Raiders and Patriots were 10-7. The Steelers were 9-7-1, and that rounded off the playoffs. In the teams that didn't make it, we had 3 teams at 9-8, which were the Colts, the Dolphins, and the Chargers. We had the Browns and Ravens at 8-9, Broncos at 7-10, and then the Jets, Texans, and Jaguars at 4, 4, and 3 wins respectively. In this video, I'm going to go through each team in the AFC and let you know which one I think. Give some information on how I ranked them and why I ranked them, and yeah, let's get into it. First off, we have the Jets at 2%. I think their floor is 1 win. I think that most teams can get 1 win. I have their ceiling at 7-10. Looking at their schedule, I think that the absolute most number of wins that they can get is 7 wins, especially with Zach Wilson being out. I'm not sure exactly how long he's going to be injured for, but I have my prediction is that they're going to win 2 games this season. I think it's a very low chance that they will be making the playoffs for this year. At 3%, we have the Houston Texans. I have the Texans going 3-14 with a floor of 1-16 and a ceiling of 8-9. I think that their schedule is slightly easier. I think that they have a slightly easier road to making the playoffs if they were to actually make a push. I think that Davis Mills does have some potential, especially with Brandon Cooks still being there. I think the Rex Burkhead is a strong player, but I think that it's a lot to try and ask for the Texans to make the playoffs after how they've performed the last couple of years. At 10%, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have their floor at 3-15. I have their prediction at 6-11, and I have their ceiling at 10-7. 10-7 being their ceiling is barely making the playoffs. In the AFC, you need to be 10-7 to have a chance to make the playoffs. So I have the Jaguars ceiling at 10-7, giving them a very low chance. But because Trevor Lawrence is going to be in his second year, and a lot of times quarterbacks have their best years their second year, or their second year is a significantly better year than their first. I can see Jacksonville improving, but they just don't have the same talent on their team that a lot of the other AFC teams do. If Trevor Lawrence was on the Jets have a lot of young talent. If he was on the Jets, I could see the Jets having a better record, but Trevor Lawrence is on the Jaguars, and the Jaguars just don't have the same talent that a lot of these other teams have. At 20%, we have the Cleveland Browns, and I think that this is a little bit low, but Deshaun Watson is scheduled to miss 6 games this season. I have their record prediction at 8-9. That includes the 6 games that he's missing. I think that their floor is 5-12, and their ceiling is 12-5. The AFC North is, in my opinion, the tightest division in the league this year. I think that the AFC West is the strongest division in the league, but I think that the AFC North is the tightest. The Steelers are going to have a strong team with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. The Bengals and Ravens were both strong last year, but the Ravens had some injuries. And Cleveland is a little bit lower, in my opinion, talent-wise, but with Deshaun Watson, he brings them back up, but then he's scheduled to miss 6 games. So I think it's the tightest division in the league. I think that because he's missing 6 games, that brings down their chances significantly to make the playoffs. But who knows? What's his name? Jake Luton had a really great game last night. So I think that maybe Jake Luton could come in as the starter and do some damage instead of Case Keenum. At 30%, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I have their floor at 6-11 and their ceiling at 12-5, very similar to the Browns. prediction of 8-9. The only main difference here is that the Steelers aren't going to be missing their starting quarterback for 6 weeks. I really wanted to put the Steelers higher, but I had to put everyone's percentages a little bit lower than I was originally going to because I had everyone way too high. I need it to all balance out to being 7 playoff teams, so that's 700%. I can't go over that. So I really wanted to put the Steelers higher. Najee Harris is great. Mitch Trubisky is an above-average quarterback that doesn't get a lot of credit. Their defense is always very strong, but their schedule is just insanely tough. At 35%, I have the Raiders. Once again, the schedule. The Raiders, arguably, in my opinion, have the hardest schedule in the AFC. Looking at their schedule, I just think that they're going to be a little overwhelmed. I think that they have a very strong team. Obviously, they went 10-7 last year, but they didn't have the schedule when they went 10-7 last year. Their division is stronger. They're playing tougher teams. I have their ceiling at 13-4, which is, I think, fair because I think that they could go up to 13-4 with the offense that they have. But their defense has never played together, and we haven't seen Derek Carr with Devontae Adams before. So I think that there's a lot of question marks with the Raiders, making them a little bit on shaky ground, in my opinion. But they still have, obviously, very strong chances to make the playoffs. At 45%, I have the Dolphins, floor of 6-11, a ceiling of 13-4, and a prediction of 11-6. I have the Dolphins and Patriots with the same exact floor, ceiling, and prediction. The Patriots were 10-7 last year. The Dolphins were 9-8. The Dolphins have made the addition of Tyreek Hill without changing a whole lot else. They got rid of Brian Flores. The Patriots didn't really make many changes at all. We did add Malcolm Butler. We did add one of the Giants cornerbacks, and we added, or a safety, and we added Devontae Parker. So I think that the Patriots did make some significant additions, and I think that Mac Jones being in his second year is going to be a significant increase in his productivity. But I think that it's still a below average chance that the Patriots or the Dolphins are going to be making the playoffs. I think that their schedule is easier than some of the teams in the AFC West or the AFC North, who have the hardest schedules in the league. But even with that, I think that the AFC West and North teams have better odds. At 50%, we have the Ravens. I have their ceiling at 14-3, their floor at 7-10, and prediction of 10-7. It's hard to predict the Ravens after last season because Lamar was injured for a lot of the year, but I really wasn't impressed with them even when Lamar was playing, even though they were winning games. I think that 10-7 is a pretty fair record prediction for their schedule for next year, but I think that 14-3, that possibility is very, very real. At 59%, we have the Chargers, and there's a reason why they're at 59%. The Chargers are at 59, tied with the Tennessee Titans. The Chargers and Titans are both very strong teams. I don't have either of them winning their division. I have them both coming in either second or third place in their divisions, respectively. I have them both with a floor of 7-10, a ceiling of 14-3, and a record prediction of 11-6, which is just barely better than the Ravens, who were 10-7. That being said, the main reasons why the Chargers, I think, are going to make an increase in their number of wins coming into this season is because of their defensive additions, obviously. They added J.C. Jackson. They added another defensive player, and their offense is going to have another year to bind. With the Titans, Derrick Henry is going to be back. I think that should keep them where they are, at least maybe add a win or two. So I think that 14-3 is definitely possible, even with the harder schedule. I have the Broncos at 62% at 12-5 record prediction, so that's why the other two are at 59. I wanted the Broncos at 62. The Broncos have a very strong team, and they just added Russell Wilson. They went 7-10 last year with a revolving quarterback room. Teddy Bridgewater's inconsistent. They've had Drew Lock the last few years. They've been going in and out of quarterbacks the last 5 years like crazy. And I think that having a consistent Russell Wilson this year should be a great addition to their team. Hopefully he can stay healthy the whole season. At 65%, I have the Bengals, and now we're at the division leaders. Obviously, I don't think all of these teams have equally strong chances to win their division, especially the Bengals and Chiefs, who have to fight pretty evenly with everyone in their division. So I think that the Bengals have the lowest chance of the division winners to win their division, but I still think that they'll go 11-6 with a ceiling of 14-3 and a floor of 7-10. I have the Colts also at 65%, same ceiling, same floor, 12-5 record prediction instead of 11-6. And I think, although I do think that they'll win their division, I think Tennessee is definitely going to put up a fight. I think that their schedule is easier than some of the other division leaders, and I think that their defense, along with Derrick Henry, along with Jonathan Taylor and Matt Ryan now, is going to be very strong, especially with the young players who did well last year, like Michael Pittman and Jonathan Taylor. At 70%, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. 70% might seem low, but once again, I had all of these teams higher because I really thought everyone was going to make the playoffs, and then I realized I really can't have everyone that high. It can only add up to 700%. So 70% for Kansas City, a floor of 9-8, a ceiling of 14-3, and a prediction of 12-5. They lost Tyreek Hill, but they still have Travis Kelce. They still have that inconsistent defense that always turns on the guns whenever they need to, and they still have Juju Smith-Schuster, Mecole Hardman, the Packers, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and Jerick McKinnon. Their offense is set. At 80%, we have the Buffalo Bills, ceiling of 15-2, prediction of 14-3, and a floor of 9-8. They could go 16-1. Their ceiling is definitely not 15-2. They could go undefeated, but I'm not going to predict that. So this is my AFC playoff picture. I have the Titans, Chargers, Dolphins, and Patriots all tied at 11-6. But for my calculated tiebreakers, I have the Chargers and Titans making the playoffs. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like if you're new. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new.